Da 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 da. Welcome. Hey, really got to work on that intro music. This is Cameos on a Tuesday night. I am with you here, as always, with my cohorts, my partners in crime, Samson and Just Ramblin'. Fu is inoperable tonight. His equipment is on loan to his better half. So, Fu, if you're out there, we need to throw in for like a Fu fundraiser to get that man his own laptop so he can join us on the regular. But in his chair, we have Samson filling in with those meaty and thoughtful segues. They just set the bar really high because they're going to be just fantastic. I can already feel it. This is going to be the night where the bar is going to be raised. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. If you're listening to us on Spotify, or joining us live on Twitch, we're here every Tuesday night at 7:30 Eastern on twitch.tv/cameos. Hit us on the socials too. We're about to get a social media manager. More to come on that as soon as we figure that out. And then yeah, Spotify is probably where you're listening to us. But please join us on those other mediums. So before we dig into our main topic tonight, whenever we figure out what that's going to be, let's hit you with the week in the news. A lot has happened. I think the updates channel has been popping off the last couple of days, so we are going to run through some things that you may have missed. If you're not addicted to Twitter, if you're not a Twitter 9to5 stan, we'll get you covered from everything happening in Hollywood and the like. So, Samson, where do you want to start?
It's like that. Let's start with sorry, that's the main topic. All right, let's start with Jonathan Majors news. Well, first, on a lighter Jonathan Majors note, he's supposed to appear in, I think, more than half of Loki season 2. So it seems like was it Victor Timely, the Victor Timely persona? So I think this probably what a fair deal, what's the term? Fair deal of Loki 2 will deal with, right? But then on the other side, his trial was delayed again. The first delay was the prosecution. This delay was the defense. I think they needed time to go through the discovery provided by the prosecution. So it's getting pushed back to actually, I don't know the dates. But yeah, his trial's being pushed back some more. So more on that in the future. Yeah, we'll see.
Did they find the plaintiff?
I don't know. The article didn't say. Sorry, it's a Deadline article. It didn't say anything about finding the plaintiff.
She was in Europe, right?
Yeah, because I think she's from Europe. But fled. Like, she's not from here, apparently. Like, she's from Europe. So she kind of just went home.
Very convenient time to get on the plane is all I'm saying. Right after the charges come out.
Reunion.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that trial. And on a just as dark note, Danny Masterson, and if you don't know who Danny Masterson is, he was in That 70s Show. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison for rape.
This is a way darker note.
Is it way darker?
Way darker note. Yeah.
He raped three women between 2001 and 2003. Sorry. Yeah. I would say 2023.
And was there some article or video of Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis like not defending him, but also like not saying how bad it was? I think it was the worst
apology video I've seen since the chick with the ukulele.
He was they were basically like, but he's really cool when he's drunk. Like, you should just hang out with him. You get to
I thought they also wrote letters on his behalf. right?
Yeah, because it was like a character witness kind of situation where it's like, oh yeah, he's a great person, even though he raped 3 people, no big deal. Like he's really funny though, and it's just like, no, he's a fucking rapist. Like, what do you mean? Why are you defending him?
It's what people do, like when what's his name, Tory Lanez, right? When he was convicted, people wrote letters on his behalf, right? Just to try to, I guess get that sentence lower so they don't throw the whole book at you.
I mean, it depends on the crime. It's like if you're going down for like jaywalking, like yeah, bro, I'll write you a letter. But rape? Nah,
you raped 3 women? Not. Can't help you, man. That's crazy. Good luck in there, man.
That's crazy. That's what you say when they call you from jail. Character witness? Man, that's crazy.
That's crazy. So I'll put something on your books. Hey, get a honey bun. I got you. Go get you a honey bun, man. It's
tough. Crazy. I don't know. Weird look for Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis to defend him, but much weirder look being back. Much weirder look to look back on those episodes because it was like I don't know. He was like the cool character on the show. It's a weird thing. I don't know if y'all watch.
He's not cool in real life.
Yeah, like he's like a totally like it's like a less severe thing of like the Bill Cosby thing. You know what I mean? Where it's like you see Bill Cosby and then you have this idea of that person in your head of the person that they must be in real life, and then you're like, oh shit. Mm-hmm. And then to find out like Hyde was the character in that 70s show, and it was like he was the cool one, and it's like, oh shit, he was actually a terrible human being. Offset. Yeah. It's just a weird thing.
Yeah, it's scary. Also scary how well protected he was. Because it's like the Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher thing with the letters. It's like, yeah, that was bad, but it's like he had a whole community of like Scientologists backing him up and making sure that the trial got delayed.
I didn't know that.
Bro, he was. That's why it took so long for him to get convicted. Wow. It's like that community like puts up barriers against any sort of like crazy accusations, whether they're founded or in reality or anything. Like they just put the guards up.
We need Tom Cruise to come out and cross-promote Mission Impossible 6 Part 2 and defending Hyde.
Defend Hyde. That's crazy.
Boy, I forgot or I didn't know about all that Scientology stuff. That's wild.
Yeah, even Scientology. I think the victims were Scientologists as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. Allegedly, I don't know. But I'm quite certain that's how he had access to them.
We have
next segue, Sam.
Oh, sorry.
Where's the segue?
I'm sorry. There's no segue from rape. I don't know how to segue from that, so I'm just going to move on. So there's a CNBC report. Apparently, more than a dozen past and present, Disney execs think Bob Iger is just trying to stay CEO long enough for the company to be sold to Apple.
Crazy that this rumor is getting perpetuated.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. I don't know. I mean, Apple has like billions in cash, right? One of the few companies with just cash on hand.
Mm-hmm.
They could buy Disney.
Insane. I can't even wrap my head around. Like that is like megacorp, evil corp, whatever. You know what I mean? Like that late stage, whatever that company was in Wall-E that owned everything, and it was just the one company that ruled the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like Disney is like the monolith of, you know what I mean, like entertainment right now. Like they absorb Fox, they absorb FX, Fox as a part of FX. Fox was already a massive fucking thing. They got all that. They got the MCU, they got Lucasfilms, they have all of their like historical stuff. I mean, it's just like it's been a staple even before they started going out and acquiring all these small guys. And then for them to like join parts with the first $1 trillion company in the history of the world is just like it's a little surreal, you know?
Yeah, like I can't even imagine what that would even look like. Like it's like I've always felt that like competition is best for the consumer. Right. But it's like you keep all these corporate mergers happening that eventually you get to a point where it's just like there's like a handful of major companies that own everything.
Right.
In which case, when you lose that variety, it's like the quality depreciates. Like all these bad, employees can be mistreated because they're afraid to be blacklisted. Because if you lose goodwill with one company, you pretty much lose it with like a vast majority of an industry.
Right.
So yeah, I think dangerous is a dramatic term to use, but it is a bad thing. Like,
No,
I
think
want
it's
it to happen.
dangerous. I think it's dangerous, and there's also this. When they own so much, they own the narrative, and so they own so much of the discourse on social media, where they can come out and convince you that it's a good thing, that it's beneficial for the consumer, because they have, one argument they'll always make with these, I'm not just talking about Apple or Disney, but like these companies that keep going out and acquiring all these smaller ones, is like, we have the resources to do the things that the smaller ones don't. I work for a Fortune 5 company. I will not say which one, but they always say, we are the best in our business because we have resources that our competitors don't. And it's true. And so they spin that to the consumers and say, hey, you want our stuff because we have things that these smaller guys can't offer. You can't argue with that, because that is true. Yeah. That is fundamentally true. Now they leave out a lot of details about
Disney kind of already did that when they were talking about the acquisition of Fox, where Fox had a vast majority, plenty of assets, but all people could focus on was, oh my God, Reed Richards is going to be teaming up with Captain America in the MCU, and that was the big focus. But then you had people in the creative industry, people from the business side saying no, this is not a good thing. Disney should not get more control and more of the market share of the entertainment industry. And people didn't want to hear that. All they could care about was, X-Men, Fantastic Four. And it's just like you said, they can push that narrative where it's very surface level, but it's just enough to appease the market and the audience and make them hop on board with the corporate side, when really the corporate just wants more money.
I think I'm just as guilty of it. I think Sam and I were fangirling at the thought of seeing these massive crossovers come to life as a result of that. And I'll admit firsthand, I would love to see the fruit of some of those things come to life that are a result of this, late stage capitalistic, monopoly thing. But I can also recognize how, and I'll use your word, dangerous that is, because they get all the control in it. Look at what happened. We get phase 4 and 5 of the MCU being absolute, I won't say dog shit, but man, it's been some of them have the Secret Invasion. Just saying, Secret Invasion, and they can get away with it because they can do whatever they want, because people are going to come out and see it because they got it. I mean, they're going to have to continue to dig themselves down and down and down before they flip it over. But it's nobody else is going to come out and do MCU better than them. They literally legally can't. So
I would have liked the Fox Disney deal to go down the way Sony did it with Disney with Spider-Man. Because Sony still retains the rights, and they just broke it down where it's I think Disney gets the merchandising rights, Sony gets all the film stuff, and that way there's no corporate merger, there's no hegemony there. So you have it where if what's the name, Sony had just sold the rights back, sold the rights for Spider-Man back to Disney, we wouldn't have gotten Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, because Disney ain't doing anything like that.
No.
When you have that kind of variety, you have that different control over an IP or a character or whatever, you get way more different ideas and not just everything being shoved into the Disney filter.
The only time on this channel we are going to say Sony did something right as it regards to Marvel. That's the one
in the animated sense.
Yeah, that's the only thing they can.
I'll say personally, I don't care about none of this. I just like good stories. And if I stop liking stories, I'll go read a book. So I really don't care about these monopolies. It is what it is.
That's why Sam buys everything hard copy, because
I still got books.
Disney owns the roof over his head and the electricity going into his place. He's going to be sitting there with a little generator from 1990 and
run on gas, playing my DVDs.
Playing his DVDs and reading his One Piece hard copy, his paperback. Yeah.
All right, let's move on. More Disney news, or kind of. So when the whole Hulu, the Fox merger happened, right, with Disney. Hulu was part of that, and then there was a deal with Comcast for them to sell the remainder of their Hulu shares, because I think Comcast still has a third of Hulu. So now there are reports that Disney and Comcast plan to move up that sale so that Disney can buy the remaining third of Hulu, and that's supposed to happen on September 30th, or at least the talks are supposed to happen on September 30th. It's just an agreement to bring forth sales talk, not like actually sell the stock or shares. So more monopoly.
Does that mean that Hulu is just going to get absorbed into Disney Plus? Because I think that would give Disney Plus a significant advantage. Because Hulu has like day after streaming for episodes. So like when it debuts on TV, it's on Hulu the next day.
I think that's a mistake that Max made, right? You don't need to do that, right? Their Hulu's independently successful in the same way that like Max had Discovery Plus, and Discovery Plus was actually doing well, and all those side like streaming services were doing well. So I don't think they need to do that with Hulu specifically. They already have the bundle deal anyway. They already own most of it, right? It's just the remaining third.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so, Hulu was an interesting thing because it was like Netflix, but they brought in like live TV that you could watch on CBS and stuff like that. I'm curious, like how when you said that they're successful, I'm curious like how much money they bring in versus Netflix based off of that strategy, because they have originals as well. But, like Netflix wasn't really known for bringing in like day after stuff. You know what I mean? You'd watch like Friends, which came out.
That's why I still had Hulu, because it's like when Abbott Elementary drops a new episode, I could just watch it on Hulu the day after. And that's I don't watch anything else aside from like those programs that are like immediately available.
I think that's the big draw. Although like Hulu has the Wu-Tang Saga. That show's great. I love that show.
That is true.
They have Hit Monkey, which is pretty good. They have
the Great. It's a great show.
They have Solar Opposites, This Fool. I think Woke, right? Hulu has a lot of good shows, and then the day after streaming is also like a big draw. And I think they were also showing Secret Invasion.
Oh no!
Secret Invasion was on Hulu at one point because Secret Invasion is terrible.
What do they think they would have drawn with that?
I don't know. I think they're just trying to drum up more views for Secret Invasion. It's whatever. But I don't think they need to combine it. But speaking of Max, because I mentioned Max randomly, Warner Brothers plans to offer sports for free on Max. I'm not sure how I feel about this.
Does Warner Brothers have anything to do with?
None. So you got to buy the rights to sports, right? So if they buy the rights to like basketball, baseball, hockey games to try to lure customers in, but
they got
I don't think
Toon Squad and I don't associate I don't associate sports with Warner Brothers at all, aside from Space Jam.
Yeah, I think they have enough. Right? I think you don't need to get into that market. I think they do well with their sports documentaries. Max has amazing sports documentaries. Like I just watched BS High about the fake high school.
Oh, that was amazing.
Yeah, it's just good. That's your market, right? Just stick to that. You don't need sports. Not everyone needs to have like real sports. So
there's got to be some money in it, though. I mean, because
of course there is.
Apple did the same thing. They put baseball, like all the MLB things you can watch on Apple TV Plus, and I thought that was a weird integration. I was like, what? That's
probably why they're trying to stay competitive. Disney has ESPN, right? So you can watch games on what is it? Well, ABC. But I guess they're just trying to be competitive and get into the sports market.
That's what it feels like a lot of these streaming services are doing, where they're just trying to find a new gimmick, a new way to just draw in more streamers and more eyes, which is understandable, but you got to stick to your core competency. Like you said, like I feel like they would benefit more from like documentaries or like, Netflix with its originals, Hulu with its next day programming. Like just that's what your biggest draw is in the beginning. So just keep that going.
I think it's like when the executives have like been like, all right, we tapped our market, we got to get into a new market, and that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, I think they just need to pay writers make better things.
They just need to pay writers. Like, that's a whole nother story.
Just make better things, and then you'll draw people to your platform. But speaking of new things on Max, well, they'll probably be on Max. Warner Brothers is developing a new Justice League animated trilogy, and the current like DC verse for the animated stuff is the Tomorrowverse. So those are the new set of movies. So it's probably just a League movie using the Tomorrowverse style. I'm excited. Like, if you like anything DC, or if you don't like anything DC, the best stuff is their animated stuff. So I'm very excited for that. So that should be coming soon.
I wonder if the Tomorrowverse is going to end with the DCU as well, because James Gunn did mention that they were going to make animation in the same universe as the DCU with like Creature Commandos and whatever other projects they're going to launch from there. So it's like, is this going to be the last Tomorrowverse movie before like Creature Commandos and everything kicks off, or is it going to run in like an Elseworlds kind of category with like the Batman and the Joker and all those other films?
It'll currently run under the DC Elseworlds banner, but all these verses they end. Right, because the one before Tomorrowverse, I forgot what it's called. Food knows what it's called, but there was one before it, right? And it all like
like
comes up to a point. It comes up to a point and it ends. We do need
Food, come back.
So yeah, we'll see what happens after they finish it, but I do look forward to like everything being under one banner and all being like the same storyline. I think that'll be good. But what's not good? Ooh, I'm out here now. I'm in red form.
That's all you gotta do.
AMC stock plunged because they couldn't sell like 40 million shares. But I remember watching something that said it was like intentional to try to offload that many shares at one time. I forgot what the move was called. But to all you apes out there,
yeah, I'm not a stock guy.
You're probably losing a lot of money.
I didn't get to buy a car because of GameStop. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, explain the stock market to us, Foo.
They did a stock split of my AMC shares, like, and split it into like Ape and then AMC, and then they like did another split, and then they undid the split, and then I had like 20 because I just threw some money that I won in fantasy football at it. Now I only have 2 because of the way they did this place. It's very annoying.
Oh.
I don't really care about it. Like it costs me like $20. Oh, sorry.
Those are a lot of words. So wait, did you end up making money, or did it end up screwing you?
No, I haven't lost any money. I spent like I bought it when it was like $2. So I haven't lost any money in all of this.
Okay.
At the end of the day, I haven't lost any money.
Tune in.
It's just weird.
Cameos gives financial advice every Tuesday night at 8:00.
We are not held liable for any losses you incur.
Don't buy NFTs.
Speaking of something I don't buy, I think there's like a fake story, maybe like a rumor. They're apparently trying to reboot The Crow, starring, and they're going to put Bill Skarsgård in it. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's like actually happening.
That's been pitched around Hollywood for a while. Like they've been talking about a Crow reboot for as long as I could remember.
Yeah, but they leave it alone.
Yeah.
Don't touch The Crow. Speaking of things not to touch. David
Mattinson. That would have been a good transition.
No jokes.
That would have been a good transition.
The gravity of it, I couldn't do that. But One Piece, the live action One Piece, they're touching it again, and apparently season 2 has already been written. So now they're just waiting on actors and writers to be given like their fair deal. So
this is a side comment, but I like how pretty much every article from this last week that we wrote that came from, what was that source that did that one? Was that Deadline or?
Yeah, it's like
they all said as soon as like it's all good as soon as Hollywood pays their writers and actors fairly. There was like that was one sentence that was like in all of the tweets this week from that outlet.
Because it needs to happen.
It was written in all the articles as well. Like if you read the article, every caveat is in there. Like, yeah, we wrote this, but we're waiting.
They're like, oh hey, One Piece is coming back as soon as Hollywood pays actors and writers fairly, and it's like, all right, I get it, we get it.
I'm glad even the news industry is on board with the actors and writers.
Seems like AI is writing those articles. I'm just saying, like, what would the irony be there? They got
maybe
AI.
if they paid their actual writers.
Yeah, maybe if their writers are paid fairly. Yeah.
I just saw on Twitter, Netflix's live-action One Piece series reportedly drew in 37.8 million views in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, so Netflix definitely wants that back.
So that's more than what Game of Thrones? I mean, worldwide.
Really?
Yes.
I guess Game of Thrones is very much a Western thing.
Yeah.
Like, I can't really picture like China tuning in for the first episode of Game of Thrones.
Everybody.
One Piece is massive everywhere.
Yeah. It's
speaking
not
of
bad.
massive,
I'm on like episode 4. Speaking of massive.
Speaking of massive. We talked about it last week, but the Godzilla spinoff series, Monarch Legacy of Monsters. So this is not Godzilla -1. This is the Apple TV series. It releases November 17th, and they put out the trailer for it. It does look pretty good. So I don't have Apple TV, but
we are
I would
going to
Apple
get
TV.
very limited views of monsters, would be my guess. They are going to be used incredibly sparingly.
So the first Godzilla,
right? Yeah.
The first Godzilla, where they had like glimpses of the actual monster,
or like Cloverfield. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. But they gotta stay within budget. I get it.
They have good. The cast looks good. The teaser looked fine. Whoever is doing these trailers these last couple of years, they need to pay those people more. Or if it's an AI,
I hope it's not.
They're doing great. But yeah, it's solid cast. Looks competent, but just as far as like the subject matter goes, if it's going to be about big monsters, make it about the big monsters. I don't want it to be about the secret society studying big monsters. Like, I don't know.
I think it'd be interesting from like a world building aspect, because it's like, while I don't like a lot of the human element in these big monster films, there are certain things you could do within it to flesh out the impact that the monsters make on the world. It's just like Sam said, you got to get good writers when they're paid properly, and then that's when that whole thing starts to take progress and take shape. So it could be great, it could be miserable, but I don't got Apple TV, so I don't even know how it's gonna go.
Yeah, I might have to. Every time I buy like a little iTunes card,
you get a free month of Apple TV.
Yes. So I'm about to like use it when the show come out. Some exciting news for all those Studio Ghibli fans. I should have talked about this when we were talking about Max, because I think Max still has all the Studio Ghibli films. But The Boy and the Heron, I say heron for some reason.
Are you saying heroin or the bird? A heron.
the heron. It's H-E-R-O-N. It's the bird.
Okay.
But I said heron because of the heroin. And I forgot what I was watching, but whatever. Ignore me. The Boy and the Heron. There's no longer Hayao Miyazaki's last movie, because so it was supposed to be, but he's just not leaving. He got more ideas, and I don't know why he has more ideas, but he just came back with more ideas. So
he's retired like 5 times, man. His last movie was supposed to be like fucking Ponyo or something like that. Like, he was supposed to be done a while ago.
I love it because I love Hayao Miyazaki's films. I love
he does good stuff. Yeah,
it's great to watch. Great if you have kids. and you want something you can watch with your kids that you still enjoy,
Well, it depends on
it's
the movie.
really good.
Not
just
all
don't
of
watch
those movies are. Princess
watch Princess
Mononoke
Mononoke.
is not a kid's movie.
Yeah,
some of them are just depressing.
Yeah.
That's the one. Just don't watch that one. You can watch it.
My Neighbor Totoro.
That's cute. You know what I mean? Like,
I
watch
watched that
Totoro.
when I was a kid.
Go
My
watch
parents
Spirited Away.
didn't know shit about.
If your
about
kids don't
anime.
understand the concept of despair yet, yeah, watch all of them. But otherwise, yeah, maybe refrain from that
Spirited
particular one.
Away.
I'm built different. I watched Princess Mononoke when I was a kid. Death.
Yo.
Speaking of death, I'm ready. We got a lot of new Deadpool news.
Oh.
Well, first, there was like a IMDb listing for Channing Tatum's stunt double. So, Channing Tatum is in fact in Deadpool 3. That was like a rumor. I think it's probably confirmed now, unless they're lying, because they could be doing this, right? They could be lying to us and trying to throw us off. But if he's in there, that means Channing Tatum is hopefully in there as Gambit, as we all dream. What else? Also, the director, Sean Levy, just talked about how great the chemistry was between all the characters in Deadpool 3. So again, Channing Tatum well, I don't know why I keep saying table. Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum.
has great
Magic
chemistry.
Michael.
But he has great chemistry with Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, as I like to call him.
I'm like, I got mixed feelings because like I feel like the best Channing Tatum appearances are the ones that you don't expect, and now that I know that he might show
This is
up,
the end.
yeah, it's like what the fuck is or like a new guy or Free Guy. I watched Free Guy, and it was like, what the fuck is Channing Tatum doing in this? Like, you know,
that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons why this, of all the rumors we've heard about Deadpool castings, I believe the Channing Tatum one the most. Because it's like, you know how comic book movie rumors go, where it's like everyone swore up and down that every character who has appeared or you've wanted to appear in a comic book film was going to appear in Multiverse of Madness. Everyone swore up and down Deadpool was going to be it. Hugh Jackman was going to be it.
Oh my god! All the analysis from the trailer poster, like when you saw the first poster, they were like, this tiny little pixel kind of looks like Deadpool's like mask,
scattered glass in it. It was just all that crazy shit. But I think because Channing Tatum appeared in Free Guy, and because Channing Tatum has a long history of just making random cameos in films, I can see him being Gambit in Deadpool.
Yeah, I hope he is. I hope it's true.
Me too. I think he deserves at least one shot at it.
Yeah. He'll die like immediately.
Yeah.
Like I think they'll kill him immediately.
Yeah, it'd be like the X-Force scene in Deadpool 2 where they skydive and one lands on power lines, one gets like thrown into a wood chipper or
yeah. I get the feeling that like the punchline of Deadpool 3 is that nothing matters. Like they're going to be like, none of this shit matters. The multiverse means that nothing matters because they can do whatever, wherever, and they can change the rules at any time. Like, oh, Chris Evans is back because in another identical universe, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's going to be the punchline for the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So two things with that. It's like, one, there's a long-running comic book for Deadpool called Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. So they could borrow from that. But I also heard a rumor that the TVA is going to be heavily involved in Deadpool 3 and Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty, where like the universes are collapsing. So instead of trying to like prune the timelines like they did in Loki, they're going to be trying to save certain heroes or certain realities, and that's what's going to get drawn into the main MCU.
We should start to see some of that in Loki, right? In the second season of Loki.
Yeah. I mean, we saw some of it also in Multiverse of Madness, right? That's the whole universe that they go to is one where like it's collapsed in on itself. Everyone's dead. Yeah. So they're like, it seems clear that's what
it was an incursion.
Yeah.
That was their interpretation of
Owen Wilson's been confirmed to be in Deadpool 3.
You said who was confirmed?
Owen Wilson, Mobius.
Oh yeah. So also, it's hard to. There's like in the chat, someone's asking a question. Channing Tatum is in Hateful Eight, but he's not. It's not a cameo. Like he has like a role, a true role. Yeah, I don't want to tell you what it is. But he's in there.
Yeah.
And sorry, before before we get too deep in the Deadpool discussions. Hopefully it comes out on time. We'll see. Given the strike and all that. But it's also supposed to lead directly into Secret Wars, and Sam Raimi is apparently the top choice to direct Secret Wars.
Yeah, I'm not buying that.
I don't either. Right, it's a weird rumor, but
I don't want that either.
Sam
Sam Raimi's great, but he's
after Multiverse of Madness, I don't want it. Like Spider-Man 1 and 2, those are great, right? But then
they had a
It's
vibe. Like he nailed the vibe for like what a
Yeah.
superhero movie was in the early 2000s, and he did things differently. And then I feel like there was this either expectation or something that he wanted to do, where in Multiverse of Madness we got some of that like old Raimi, like Evil Dead vibes, like to the point where I was just like, this isn't even, it's not even not a Marvel movie. It's like, this is just like an homage to like a Raimi movie. And it was like, it didn't work. It didn't work for me. And I know it didn't work for many others.
It didn't work for me either. Not because Raimi, like, I don't doubt Raimi's skills. Like, I think he's better suited for horror and fantasy. Secret Wars is supposed to be more like scientific, multiverse. And I think he would have made a fantastic Doctor Strange film if it wasn't Multiverse of Madness, if it was more focused. So if like you allowed him to delve into like the eldritch horror aspect of Doctor Strange and giving him a villain like Nightmare, I think Sam Raimi would have given us one of the greatest Doctor Strange films, one of the greatest comic book films we've ever seen.
Yeah.
But because they threw him into an element that was one factor. But it's just, I feel like he was out of his element. Give him horror, give him fantasy, and he'll do fantastic. But leave the science stuff to maybe a different director.
Yeah, but wasn't Multiverse of Madness was supposed to be like Marvel's first like horror big picture movie, right? They marketed. Well, I remember them marketing it as a horror film, and then like COVID happened, and then rewrites happened, and
speaking of multiversal mix-ups.
Yeah.
Wasn't that another one of our stories? Wasn't another one of our stories how I don't know, I'll let you do the transition thing, but you should talk about the thing where the movies got mixed up.
We did.
We had a story
when it happened.
Wasn't this in our updates chat about how?
No, we were just talking about it in general.
Oh,
it's not news. We're just talking about it. So for those that don't know what he's referring to, what I'm sure he's referring to is when Spider-Man and Multiverse of Madness were flipped.
That was definitely one of our articles. I'm like sure of it.
Oh, you got to check.
That was part of the discussion.
Yeah. So they flipped Spider-Verse, not Spider-Verse. They flipped Spider-Man No Way Home, whatever the last one was, and Multiverse of Madness, and then like what's her name? America Chavez's character was supposed to have already appeared in Multiverse of Madness first, and then learned how to do the magic and stuff. So she's the one that brings in. Yeah, instead of Ned. They just had to write that in. So everything got messed up. Right?
Yeah, because of COVID.
Yeah, COVID like kind of ruined all that.
And
which is why both movies are.
How Sam Raimi sort of got the short end of the stick. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like we shit on Multiverse of Madness all the time. I don't think Sam Raimi's bad at what he does. It's just like that movie.
Yeah.
Was just...
He did what he could. He had the pizza balls in there, you know.
He got the pizza balls.
He had the memory machine, the convenient, like, oh, this is free to use. They have a whole, it's a whole business. But if you come here, they'll give you that for free.
That bothers you so much. You bring that up every time.
I hate it.
God.
The plot device store. Yeah.
Yeah. But all right, so we'll see what's going on with all these this Deadpool stuff.
I'm worried, but yeah.
What's supposed to be the release date for Deadpool?
I don't remember. Yeah, because I don't.
This year?
It was, but then it got pushed back.
Whenever the writers and actors get paid at this point.
But I think they're like more than halfway done, right? They're just probably editing.
They're halfway through filming, according to the director.
Okay.
Which means, depending on how long the strike goes, we're probably not going to see this until like mid to late 2024 at best, and at worst 2025.
Yeah.
Plus, they still can't ad lib, also, right? Because Ryan Reynolds is technically a writer, but if they're halfway through filming, they can't finish filming.
They can't do anything. They don't have actors.
Yeah, like it's probably a union film, so yeah,
they can't. All pencils down, all actors home. Yeah, like they can't do anything. At most, maybe the CGI team can like flesh out the visuals in terms of like what they're going to do, but aside from that, everything's at a standstill.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. Yes. Moving on to something that is never ending. Attack on Titan.
God, no.
First of all, it's the final season of Attack on Titan. It's on its third part. Yeah, this is the third part of the final season. And then of the third part of the final season, this is the second part of that third part of the final season.
Stop.
It's coming out November 4th. And then a trailer was released. At this point, I didn't even turn it on. I'm like, I don't care anymore. I've read this. They're just stretching it out. Like, nothing needs to be this long. Besides One Piece and the Tower of God and Hajime no Ippo and Case Closed. And that's it. Those are the things that need to be that long. This doesn't need to be that long. It's very annoying.
You got Attack on Titan part 4 or part 3.
Yeah.
Just
part 4.8.
It's excessive. It's so excessive.
Oh my God. I cannot believe it. I feel like it was like 3 years ago that they announced the final season of
it was. It's so long ago.
Jesus Lord.
Yeah. Speaking of things that are excessive though, this seems excessive to me. Apparently Roblox is trying to host a 17+ dating experience in a couple of years. I'll be honest, like, this is kind of smart to me, right? If you got all these kids growing up on Roblox, right? Then as they grow up, oh, you're 17 now, why don't you just go keep using Roblox and go on your first date.
And upload some dick pics there while you're at
it. That's too much. I was just watching the Venture Brothers movie. It's on Max, by the way. Y'all should watch it. Venture Brother movie. Sergeant Hatred is on there. He's like a pedophile. It's very funny to me.
I mean,
remind me of that. But yeah,
we kind of did the same thing when we were younger. We had MSN chat rooms. We had AIM. Same concept. Less dick pics. To my knowledge, at least. And
it just depends.
It
just
those things work.
Listen, a dick pic with like 9 whole pixels in the photo.
No, but those things weren't actually dating experiences, right? They weren't intended to be dating experiences. They were just chat rooms.
Yeah, I mean,
right? It sounds like they want to work.
There were chat rooms that were focused around,
Oh,
ASL. You remember ASL?
ASL. You got to pretend to be somebody different, and then you get got when you go and ask about their favorite Pokemon, and you're like, shit, cover's been blown.
Man.
Maybe that just happened to me.
Yeah, just you. I was not in them chats, man. I was outside.
Yeah.
I was talking to girls in person, face to face.
Internet was in a... Okay.
We had dial-up, too. Like, it was just taking too long. Everything took forever.
Everybody had dial-up at a certain point.
Everybody had
not everyone had dial-up.
The internet came to your house on a CD. That was what happened for a long time.
Kids now don't have dial-up. Everything's too quick. They just get online. We used to have to wait till no one was on the phone to get online. They don't know that struggle.
Then you had to call the girl and then put your sister on to have to ask for the girl. And then when the father picked up and got the transition going, then the girl picked up, you took the phone back, and then you just hope that you didn't call before your minutes were up.
That's what they need to make in Roblox. A dating experience if you were in the 2000s.
That would be like Dark Souls to this generation.
God, yeah. That is so true. Oh my God.
I don't have any good segues anymore. We're getting into AI stuff.
They're done.
Yeah, the segues are done. Oh, before I get into AI stuff, though, apparently Warner Brothers, they suspended their deals with like a lot of their top creators, including Mindy Kaling, J.J. Abrams. And I think we talked about this kind of before when we talked about like studios moving away from having like creators on retainer, right? Because it's just expensive. At this point, they're already losing money, so they kind of just let it go. So
yeah,
Warner Brothers did the same.
Trying to slim down.
Yeah, and I mean it's good because I don't like anything that Mindy Kaling has done. So
she did The Office. I mean, she was a huge part of The Office.
No. Anything that she has, like the Mindy Project,
I know.
And
Mindy Project,
the Sex Lives of College Girls,
Velma.
Yeah, those can all go. Yeah, I just don't like what she creates.
She's a good contributor. I don't think she's a good soul creator. Like I feel like she was like The Office was so good because it had a lot of good voices like that had different ideas of funny. And if you look at the writer's credits, she was on some of the like really good episodes of The Office. Like she had a writer's
I think she's a great writer.
Really good ones. But yeah, I don't know. It might just also be like her. I get the impression that she's just trying to stay woke and she's like really leaning too far into that and just trying to stay relevant. Where it's just like, yo, you're like best stuff was when you were being off the cuff and saying like, you know, problematic things. So maybe just
I just think it's like some people are great creators and some people are great collaborators.
Right.
I think she's a great collaborator, but if you put her at the helm of something, her resume is a little wonky.
Yeah. So there's no new Velma, but Velma, if you want to watch Velma, it's still there. It's still on Max until they take it off to save money. And I think there was something else that she was working on. I'm sure there's probably scrap by now.
Yeah.
So yeah, sucks. Kind of, but not really. But what does suck is October 1st. So on October 1st, the NFL is going to do a fully animated Toy Story version of Falcons versus the Jaguars. And this is not a joke. There's a whole trailer for it. It doesn't make sense to me. That's the London game. So it's the live
Google
London game.
Pixar NFL and you will see what we're talking about.
Yes. Like I saw this watching the game on Monday and I was sitting there like, yo, this is, I thought it was like going to be an old game, right? But no, it's not. It's the week 4 game. So live TV. I'm sure they're just going to use AI to do all this. It's starting. They're practicing. They're setting up right now. AI's
My question is, whose idea was this? And who are they trying to appeal to with it?
Who asked for this?
I don't know. The kid. I don't think the kids asked for this.
This is like that meme where it's like nobody, absolutely nobody. NFL. All right, here's a Pixar version of this NFL game in London.
Wow.
Like they choose the London game, which is always like the worst teams that they could just like send overseas to like nobody gives a shit. Like
it's always the Jaguars because the Jaguars owner owns something else.
Oh, it is always the Jaguars, so that's why it's always a dog shit game. All right.
Yeah, the Jaguars are pretty decent now. That's like their home game.
God.
Another home game for them. But like this is excessive. It's like when they air games on Nickelodeon, right? And then they have like the slime popping out of this like random like animation in the end zones. Like this is unnecessary. Kids don't need this to like football. Like, I didn't need this to like football.
Like Sean made a good point in the chat where it's like, what demographic of children is this appealing to? Because it's like, to my knowledge, kids aren't that into Toy Story these days. Like, they're into like crazy Twitch streamers and like TikTokers
and Roblox dating sites.
It's like Toy Story was more our generation, and like anything beyond that just seems like they're kind of missing the mark. Where it's like, okay, it feels very hello, fellow kids.
All right, I gotta segue real quick.
Go ahead.
I had my outfit on last week for appreciation of who died. Margaritaville, Jimmy Buffett, and what's his name, Smash Mouth had died. So like I was wearing my backwards cap and my button up, and I came upstairs and Nicole said I looked like the Hello Fellow Kids meme, and I just about fucking died. I was like, what the fuck, babe? So that, I'm sorry, I just had to bring that up because you guys just talked about that. I totally agree, though. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we need more news. Sorry.
Yes.
Wait, I thought that was is that our main story or no?
No, it's not our main story. It's just a thing that
All right,
happened.
I just want to say it's going to be crazy to see how. I'm really curious for the Pixar NFL thing, how long the delay is going to be. Like, there has to be some kind of. It cannot be 1-to-1. There's got to be a delay so that the computer can make the like players into little Pixar-looking people. And I'm curious about how quick that's going to be. That's going to be what's the most impressive thing to me. Is it going to be like a 3-second delay, or is it going to be like a minute and a half?
It's got to be substantial, but as long as it's not the main game, right? Don't make me watch the main game. First of all, it's at 9:30. That's number one. So don't make me watch this game at 9:30 in full Toy Story mode. Like, I don't want to see that.
Are you saying like if they don't give you the option to watch the actual players?
I'd be pissed.
Like, wait, oh my god, I hadn't even considered that. Like, I assumed that this would be optional, but like, what if it's not optional? Like, what if this is the only way to watch the game?
Be optional. I'll be so.
Wait. What day does this take place on?
October 1st. So that's the Sunday. It has to be Sunday because the London games are Sunday.
So school's the next day, and they've got this thing for quote unquote kids happening at 9:30 on a Sunday.
AM, 9:30 a.m.
Oh, AM. Okay,
yeah.
I was about to say
the London games are always early. It's like it's a hassle.
They're
to watch
12 hours ahead of us or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So the game's always at 9:30. But I think this is on Disney Plus and Prime. I don't remember where they air the 9:30 game because the rights are weird, right? Like depending on your division,
you can watch it on Disney Plus or
places.
BBC. That's it.
Bro,
I don't know if Amazon Prime has
Coco Melon.
That's what they should do. Coco Melon, the Falcons Jaguars game.
They should have made like
watch
Bluey. Yeah, like Bluey characters.
Bluey? No, get Miss Rachel to do it. Miss Rachel. Miss Rachel.
I'd watch for Miss Rachel.
Everyone's child will watch the Miss Rachel game, and then you indoctrinate kids into the football lifestyle. Everyone will want to be a quarterback. All right, 2 more stories, and then we get into like our main topic. I'm gonna just breeze over this one though. The El Muerto movie, that's done. They're done with that at Sony. Sony, and if you don't know, Sony was just taking every obscure like Spider-Man villain and like we're going to make a movie. They're just going to keep this IP alive as long as they can. That's why you got Morbius. That's why you're about to get Black Cat. I don't know if they're still doing that. They might be. I don't know. They're still doing Black Cat. That's why we're getting Madam Web. Right, we're just getting anything they can drum up. But they scrapped the El Muerto one. I think Bad Bunny was supposed to play him. And Bad Bunny's been in movies before. Like he's in Bullet Train. He's not too bad in that. But yeah, this just ain't it. He probably saw the script and was like, nah.
He didn't like have lines in that movie though, did he?
Oh, in Bullet Train?
Yeah.
Was he just like a wordless assassin?
He was not word. He said a couple of things.
He was the guy that showed up with the like as Brad Pitt was about to walk off with the briefcase. He was standing there, right?
And then he died immediately. Yes. And then he dies, and they just like prop his body up to make him look alive.
Yeah.
But he's
curious about his acting chops.
Yeah.
He's not a Sean Bean with like Oscar level dying activity.
Sean Bean. He does die like Sean Bean, though. I mean, they have that in common.
Last thing, the Embracer Group is apparently trying to sell Gearbox. Studio Gearbox is the developer of Borderlands. So this is a little weird because Borderlands, they're either making a movie or a show, right? Off Borderlands.
It's got like Jack Black and
a movie,
Kevin Hart.
Yeah, so they're trying to make this sale as I see why now. Kevin Hart. No offense to Kevin Hart. You ever seen Jumanji movie?
Yeah. It's great.
It's not.
Classic.
No, it's not. Classic. No, the remake.
Yeah.
The remake. I've never seen Kevin Hart in a good
Jack
movie.
Black and Kevin Hart.
Yeah, that movie's terrible. I've never seen Kevin Hart in a good movie. I've seen him in good shows, actually, but never a good movie.
It was pretty decent. It was funny.
He's like a producer for.
Yeah,
I liked Jumanji, and also Kevin Hart is responsible for Dave. So how are you gonna hate on him?
I'm not hating on Kevin Hart. I just don't like his movies.
Kevin Hart. He is a sponsor of Cameos. He just doesn't know it yet.
I'm not hating on Kevin Hart. I'm hating on his casting because he's Roland. And if you've ever seen Roland in Borderlands, you would know this is a terrible idea.
Yeah. So that's the thing. They're making this what seems like a big budget Borderlands film. And amidst all this, the group is trying to sell the studio responsible for Borderlands. It's kind of weird to me.
Embracer Group is one of those big companies that are going around buying everybody up right now. And I think that they maybe just pulled like a Warner Brothers HBO Max situation, and they're like, oh shit, we're bleeding money. Like we have too much and we're not making enough. That's how I perceive this to be, because Embracer Group is like, this is one of many acquisitions that they have made over the past couple years. This was like a sizable one, but Borderlands doesn't hit like it used to. We tried to play. You remember? Remember how we tried to play?
Yeah, we did. We did.
Gave us fucking headaches. It's not what it used to be. So I would imagine Embracer Group's trying. Yeah, we have. Borderlands is not it, but
they have a lot of game studios. I'm just looking up their subsidiaries. THQ Nordic is one of them. I think we talked about that because of Black Force Games.
They're
who's supposed to be making that Ninja Turtles game.
They're one of those like headless like venture capitalist firms that, you know, go out and just buy up a bunch of small little things. Sort of like how Take-Two owns Rockstar, which does Grand Theft Auto. Take-Two owns a bunch of different things. You know what I mean? They're like these silent guys behind the scenes. I think Embracer is just realizing maybe that they bit off a little more than they could chew.
Yeah, so they're trying to get a quick flip. All right, that makes sense.
That's my take on it.
Well, I'm sure Microsoft's going to swoop in and
because that's the other
take that off their hands.
Microsoft and Sony are also doing the same thing, and if you're one of these other guys, like without that clout, I feel like your margins are a little bit thinner. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, if your margins are thin. Watch this segue. Segue into our final story. If your margins are thin, you might just want to pay Rotten Tomatoes to make you look better.
Hey.
That was fired. No, apparently there's a PR firm that have been manipulating Rotten Tomato movie scores for like years. This is like a rumor, right? They are apparently have been paying out sums to make movie reviews look better on the app.
One movie in particular I think is under scrutiny right now, right?
Yeah, you said it earlier, and I apologize. I forgot.
Called Ophelia.
I know Ophelia. That's crazy.
And it's the movie with Daisy Ridley from you might remember her from the most recent Star Wars trilogy. She was
okay, yeah.
I almost said Leia, not Leia. What was her name? Ray.
Yes.
Ray Skywalker.
I couldn't tell you anything about Ophelia other than I am assuming
it's just
the Shakespeare.
It's a retelling of Hamlet. It's a retelling of Hamlet.
It's a Shakespeare thing. Okay,
yeah.
So I guess the long and short of this is this PR company called
Bunker 15.
Were like harassing and bribing critics on Rotten Tomatoes to change their scores, going so far as to say advocated a reviewer to give it a barely overall positive, in quotes, review. And then they claimed, I do know the editors at Rotten Tomatoes and can get it switched, unquote.
It's like payola, right? For those that don't know, payola is like back in the 90s or maybe earlier than that. They used to companies would pay radio DJs to play records and just keep playing records. Right, it was like big business, and they like wrote a law to stop them from doing that. Right, I think Rotten Tomatoes. I don't like it, but a lot of people get their movie ID, like the movie they want to see, they go to Rotten Tomatoes.
It's the de facto, yeah.
Just go
with truth.
Or Ebert and Romer.
I feel like this has been an open secret in the industry for the longest time now. Because it's like they always manipulate. Oh, so if it's not like a blatant manipulation of the critics' comments and everything, they'll have it where the first time a positive review goes up, they'll start using that in all their marketing. So it's like if you get 5 positive reviews, the aggregate makes it okay. You have a 100% review score. But then, like, if 40 other bad reviews come up, then it drops down to, like, I don't know, 30% or however math works or whatever. But then they'll go with the initial 5 reviews and that initial score that they have with all of their trailers and their posters. And even more than that, like, they'll go into, like, Twitter comments. They won't even go with, like Black Adam is a perfect example, where they had actual Twitter quotes where they would say, like, oh, this movie's phenomenal. This is amazing. 5 out of 5 stars. And they'll just have the comment on the trailer. But if you zoom in like 500%, you'll see that the comment came from like Jizzman42444 with 2 followers.
I think it was 420. I know Jizzman42424. He didn't say that. It was Jizzman424.
Jizzman424 would never say that.
It was like these aren't like viable actual like critics, but they only care about what appears well.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised they were doing crazy shit like that with Rotten Tomatoes, because that's just the initial impression, because that initial box office is what's most important.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other aspect of it that's totally dishonest. But like for them, for PR firms to be going out and like sliding money under the table to raise those, scores up, that's a whole nother level of shady. I mean, yeah, like Rotten Tomatoes is the, like, I know you're huge into gaming, so like Metacritic is like what I use to like judge the success or like merit of a video game. Like Rotten Tomatoes is that to the layman for movies. I think Rotten Tomatoes system in general is pretty flawed. Like, you get a good tomato if it's recommended. Like a 60% doesn't mean that 60 like that critics are saying that it's a 6 out of 10. They're saying like 60% of critics are saying that it's worth seeing the movie, and that's just so vague and ephemeral, and it doesn't get into any of the nuance, which Rotten Tomatoes clearly knows what the people want, because like it's as successful as it is for a reason. But like when you really think about it, it's like, well, that's kind of like a fucking, there are plenty of movies that it's like, yeah, maybe I'd like to see it, but then I go into it expecting it to be a 6 out of 10, and I'm like, or I'm like, wow, that was actually like great. You know what I mean? It's a very weird rating system to begin with, and it does seem very easy to manipulate, because all you got to do is turn that like maybe don't see it into a maybe do see it. It's not like they're not like paying for a 10 out of 10. They're just paying for like a go see, Yeah.
My issue with it is that like it assigns a numerical value to art, and art is subjective.
Right.
It's like, for instance, one of my favorite superhero films of all time is Batman Forever. I know this shit is terrible, but I will watch that movie again and again and again because I enjoy it. But if I were to go through Rotten Tomatoes and see it has like 30% of critics actually enjoy it, I would lose out on that experience.
Right.
So it's like, if you really want to enjoy films as they are without all the numerical values and everything, find like 3 or 4 trusted critics on like YouTube, TikTok, wherever you can find them, and watch them and get their opinions. Someone who aligns more with your views, and don't just go for the number.
Exactly. Because very often, right here.
Just come here. You don't need 3 YouTubers.
I'm saying, bro.
Somewhere.
Batman Forever, 5 out of 5 stars, 100%. I will argue this to the day I die.
Yo, we need a
when
cameos.
Riddler says joygasm, huh?
I was just gonna say, we need a cameos where we just we make our recommendations for our favorite movies and then we defend it. I think that would be
that'd be a really good debate show.
I'm shitting all over your favorite movies. I promise you. but I'm gonna do it from my secret account, Jizzman4242.
Yeah, it's not secret anymore. You blew it.
And that's how I knew. No, that's how I knew. I didn't say that. That wasn't me. That's a good idea, though. But I agree with you. I agree with you, Justin. I think a lot of people like Rotten Tomatoes does so well because it's easy, right? Like everyone, I would just go straight there. Easy. Let me see what the people are saying, right? It's like Yelp, right? You go straight to Yelp, right? Is this place good? Straight to Yelp. And I was
but
right
Rotten
there.
Tomatoes is even easier. Cool. Is it rotten or is it fresh?
Yeah, all you need to know. That's all you need.
That's all you need to know.
Right? No one wants to take the time to like go like look for the nuance.
But
right?
it's like not even that like they don't want to take the time. It's like Rotten Tomatoes makes it purposefully obtuse, like obscure to like go dig into like what fed into those scores. You know what I mean? It's not like you got to click down and then they do, for what it's worth, I will say to Rotten Tomatoes credit, like they will say the audience generally says this, the critics generally say this, and they give like a AI generated blurb. But
you can read what the critics actually say. Like you can read each critic's like remarks on the film if you want to. Like I've done it before because I was trying to see. I think it was Bros, right? I watched Bros. And I was like, this is not as good as this said it was. And I went and read the comments or read the critic like reviews. And like, you guys are lying. This is not what happened in the film. Like this is not true. But I think like no one wants to take the time to do that, right? So as you said, it's just right there for you. This is right.
Everyone always goes for headlines.
Yeah, headline is king.
Like the interesting thing I've seen is that, like, let's say if a critic gives a movie a rotten status. So they'll say, okay, this is rotten by this critic, and they'll have one quote that's extremely negative from the entire article that critic wrote. But if you go into the actual article, it's a bit more nuanced. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, I didn't enjoy this film, but here are some things that you might like about it. It's got humor, it's got heart, it's got all these things, but you don't see that because if you go to Rotten Tomatoes, you just see the one part where the critic said, this part is trash. And every single critic is just like that. It's like everything is either all good or all bad. And it's to the point where, like, if a film doesn't get at least, at minimum, I'd say an 80% fresh, it could even get like a 65% fresh or a 70%. But if they see anything below 80, it can tank the film's viability among a bunch of consumers. And it's like, it shouldn't be that films live and die based on that number, because there are plenty of people who can go to see a film and not just be like, oh, 80% good, 20% bad, or anything like that. They can appreciate it for what it is, knowing that it's bad or knowing that it has flaws. But you don't see that nuance in these scores.
Something else the internet has ruined. Yep.
Yeah.
You should just have Siskel and Ebert, and
they're both dead.
And no.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Roper's alive. Siskel and Ebert both died at this point. I'm pretty sure both are dead. Yeah. It used to be Ebert and Roper, and now I think it's just Roper doing stuff.
I know Ebert passed away, I think.
Yeah.
Cancer? I could be wrong, but yeah, I don't know about Roper.
That used to be my standard. What are they saying? A word? I'm not saying this.
Yeah, but like they didn't like the last time they were looking at the MCU movies, they weren't about that either. They were in the old school camp of like, I don't like these new MCU movies. I think there was like one MCU movie where Roper was about or something like that. So I don't know.
I watch those for a separate reason. I'm a comic fan, so that's why I'm in there.
Yeah, but to like just Ramblin's point, it's like, it's subjective, but it's hard. Uh-huh. It's hard to separate when you have limited time and it's like, what do I want to see? Is this movie worth seeing it? What's the general consensus? I mean, we here are all very curious about that kind of stuff. That's why we come and talk about it every week. But there is some damaging aspects to that of like breaking things down to just like a fresh, not fresh. And, that removes a lot of like the magic from like seeing a movie and being like, I am very glad that we watched Fan 4-Stick in my basement with all of us and had a terrible experience, but that movie was amazing. And I would be like, if you can watch it in this way, you should totally go see it. That's how movies should be like graded, of like, here's how to appreciate this movie,
That's a valid way of looking at it.
Yeah.
I think all movies would be great if you watch it either drunk or with friends.
Yeah. So
Sorry, yeah,
true.
Siskel did die of brain cancer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but now it's just Roper.
What
by
about
himself.
Ebert? Did Ebert die?
Ebert died. Yeah, he died too.
Oh, damn.
But I don't know. What
It's
did he die of? He died in 2013, actually.
So Roper is just the main man hanging on.
Yeah, but he came later. Like when Siskel died, then it was Ebert and Roper. After like Ebert would have like random guests, and then Roper was like the mainstay. He stayed,
Gotcha.
and then Ebert died in 2013. I don't know what maybe like natural causes or something. But yeah, I miss those. Oh, he had cancer too. Dang.
Wear sunscreen. Wear sunscreen, friends.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, it's funny because it's like there was this big controversy about the Rotten Tomatoes thing, but it's gonna blow over and everyone's gonna go back to using it as the end all be all for films. So
it's because there's nothing better. There's no better solution right now, and it's just the easiest marketing. You know what I mean? Like you said, you could just take a headline, take a screenshot of that, verified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, and then there's free marketing for your movie. So yeah, that's not going to stop until public opinion just changes and they stop caring about that kind of stuff. I don't know. Gen Z seems pretty cynical and untrusting, so maybe that'll be the death of Rotten Tomatoes.
The death of Rotten Tomatoes.
Maybe, but like I said, just find somebody on TikTok who agrees with some of your views, YouTube, whatever. If they like it, you're probably gonna like it too.
Or
yeah, that's the way to do it.
Somebody on Cameos. You know what I mean?
Swing by Cameos chat Tuesday nights. This is a good segue because we are here every Tuesday night talking about our opinions on terrible MCU projects and Sony disappointments
and other things.
Other things also that we like.
Like shout out to Smooth Carlito, Double Dragons. Fantastic. Who's in it? Alyssa Milano in that. Watch
the fact that Resident Evil on Netflix wasn't actually that bad. I'm just saying. It was, it started.
You're wild.
It started good. It started good.
No.
It had Lance Reddick. You cannot
get out of here.
Speak ill of the dead, okay? Lance Reddick.
I love Lance Reddick.
Treasure.
He couldn't save it. He could not save it.
But that's the point. That's the importance of nuance. He was one good thing.
Ooh, I like that.
I wanted to love that show so much. It just started to get so bad so quick. All right. Listen, we're rambling. It's time. It's time. Thank you guys so much for coming through. Appreciate everybody out there in the chat. I know we got a couple of you guys out there listening right now. Again, this is Cameos every Tuesday night Eastern, 7:30-ish. If you're in the Discord, you're hip, but we're on Spotify as well, Apple Podcasts, like wherever you're listening on your free time. If you miss one of our little chats, hit us up. We're here. We put the videos up there too, so you can watch our pretty faces up there. Any last words for the week?
We miss you, fool. Come back.
And Ahsoka is still airing. In 4 minutes, the episode will be out.
We were supposed to talk about this week, weren't we?
Nah, we'll wait until it finishes because it's only on episode. This is what 5 today. Right?
Yeah, I believe so.
I think it's episode 5 today.
I'm too busy watching Pixar football games. I don't have time.
I think for now that's it. That's it. I don't think anything else is coming out anytime soon. I think some stuff comes out in November that we're looking for. So, yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate you all. You want to go watch some video game playing? Go check out Lucid 2 Cents. My man is probably streaming at some point. I don't know his schedule. You want to go watch some Diablo gameplay? Go hit up Lucid 2 Cents. Otherwise,
his sultry voice.
Yeah, sultry voice. His YouTube hot tips, where he's got that cadence down. It flows. All right, y'all. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you this time next week.
Peace.
Peace.